chillin', serial killing, pre-cold villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ on the ones and twos, by the name Beelzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all over two, and prepare to hear the legend of the Straight Chillin' Crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another hungry episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 448, recorded on Sunday, November 5th, 2023. Tonight we're talking about the winner of the November poll, which was Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy Randeezy. What's up, man?
It's a funky little tomato.
What's going on, my dude? Happy to hear from you on this auspicious tomato-laden occasion.
It's a funky tomato. I
People
see
always
it
say
every
so.
day. I see it every day.
I walk down the street and people, they just check out my dumper and they're like, that's a funky tomato.
What that smell like?
Ketchup. Let's just go with that.
Fantastic.
I do. Yeah, please.
Juice is unable to make it for this week's show, but we are being graced with the presence of the thick, wonderful, strong, fantastic, succulent Michael.
Hungry Michael.
Hungry Michael. How
Right.
could I forget?
Pinky Crispies.
I am ready to talk about some killer nightshades.
What?
Nightshades.
Nightshades?
That's what tomatoes are. They're
they?
nightshades.
What
I
is
don't
that?
know. I don't know what this man doesn't speak for us. The scientific community is still out on nightshades and what the hell he's talking about.
That's a poison? Is that a poison?
Well, I learned that because Tom Brady on his TB12 diet, he doesn't eat nightshades, and that included tomatoes.
I'm sorry. Everything
fun
you just
fact.
said is well outside my purview. I cannot deal with any of that.
Should I have saved that?
Is
for
he
the,
doing a goop style thing? Is he?
No,
that's
I'm being
what-
dead ass serious.
I don't know what that means.
The thing is, I believe you. I'm just upset that I now know this.
Oh yeah, should I save that for like the trivia?
No, that's fine. If Tom Brady says fuck tomatoes, then the Italians hate Tom Brady, I think.
Supposedly nightshades are what I think inflammatory foods. I think that's what they are.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
which makes a little sense.
if that's true, I understand in Tom Brady's case. He hates tomatoes. Death by Pomodoro. Pomodoro? I think so.
I think another meaning
Well-
for nightshade is when you make fun of somebody at night.
Nope.
Shade at night.
Yeah. That might
Credibility
be questionable,
lost. All right.
especially on
I
that
think
one.
so. I think so. We're talking Attack of the Killer Tomatoes this evening. Before we get into it, let's tackle a little bit of housekeeping real quick. Our December poll is currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this December. The theme for December is merriment and murder. The three movies.
Bob.
Thank you.
What's that look like?
Thank you. Please do.
Oh my god.
Please do the shittiest version of soju you can possibly do. Thank you.
It's too late. It's done.
The three movies you can vote between are Yule-log, Silent Night, and Christmas Bloody Christmas.
Oh, Bob. Hey, oh, hi, Bob. How them numbers looking, Bob? Oh, like what numbers like?
Nailed it.
Perfect.
Yule-log.
Mwah. Perfect.
Yule-log is still winning somehow,
Oh,
but also
all right.
that's okay.
The logs have it.
Silent Night is in second place. Christmas Bloody Christmas is in third.
Damn. All right. It's is it particularly close at all?
I don't think so. But you got plenty of time to
You don't-
vote.
Well, you don't think so? Okay, great.
I
This
don't
is a
think
good.
so.
This is a good episode, man.
Wait,
we're really falling
what
apart.
the hell is Yule log? Is that just a screen with the log on fire?
That's
Oh,
how
Mikey.
it starts.
You ignorant slut.
You haven't seen, dude. You will love it.
I'm ignorant. Y'all are the ones that didn't know a damn tomato's nightshade.
We didn't. You'll love it though.
No.
So it's on HBO Max, and it is a Cartoon Network production. I think
It's an Adult Swim
Adult
production.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's why.
you can watch it
I'm-
on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I'm curious.
It's an
but-
extremely easy mistake to make, honestly.
Yeah, I was like, man, they want y'all to review a 6-hour picture of just a log on fire.
dude.
Look, man, the
But
people.
then again, they
the
picked
people,
this fucking movie.
They
so
have
I
us
don't
over
know.
a barrel, so they have us over a barrel. Whatever they want.
I live.
They
in a
want us to
barrel.
watch the Italian Stallion. We're gonna watch it. We're
So-
gonna
but
see
wait, so-
Stallone's hog, and it'll be that.
Oh shit! So they picked this movie over what two? What are the other two movies?
So Attack of the Killer Tomatoes won over The Stuff and Ice Cream Man.
Oh my goodness!
I know how you feel about those movies.
Oh my goodness!
I feel like I owe you a hug, a personal apology hug.
man,
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
You guys
Aw,
couldn't
man.
have your friend who lives in Asia, so you call in your Asian friend
You
to fill in.
you're my Asian friend.
Yeah, yeah.
You are.
One's enough.
God in heaven. You log is winning.
No, Jesus Christ! What is happening here? We just took a hard right into fucking supremacist
Look,
territories.
Like this movie, I really did not like this movie. If I didn't have a great day golfing earlier and like getting all the vitamin D and drinking in the light beer and
Hey.
everything, man, I wouldn't be in as good as a mood as I am right now.
Too soon. Too soon. Get your votes in before the end of this month.
I didn't put
And-
on any suntan lotion, so I
and,
might be red as a tomato right now. So who knows?
You're fine. You're
Okay.
fine. You'll be all right. You're glowing. Get
Good.
your votes in before the end of November. We'll see what we're talking about this December. In other Patreon news, we got a brand new mini cast dropping this Friday, the 10th. Justin is talking about El Conde, and that's a movie that I haven't seen. It's on Netflix, and it's Spanish language, and seems like a comedy, but also somewhat historic, but also somewhat fictional. It seems like
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it involves a Volvo of some kind. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
maybe
None of us
it
have seen it,
does.
except for the guy who's not here.
Check it out. Apparently, it's interesting. Minicast this Friday. In other Patreon news, we do have a brand new Patreon supporter. We got to give mad shouts outs to
Yeah.
a big, gigantic thanks to Sean A. for signing up on Patreon, showing us some love. Every dollar you guys contribute goes right back into the show. It really helps us keep the show going, and it means a lot. So this one goes out to Sean A.
Thanks for slapping our ass, Sean.
Thank
Appreciate you.
Gets me
Keeping
every
us
time.
beat red and ready to rumble.
Sexual.
Keeping that tomato funky.
So funky. That's a funky tomato. That's all I got. Randy, do you have anything you need to
No,
plug
we can
or
finally finish
mention?
this shit up. Let's get it done. This house, I think, might be clean.
Is it clean?
Is it clean?
I guess it's clean.
I guess it is.
The bump is played. Shit's clean.
This shit is clean. Fantastic. All right, let's get into the main event. We're talking about Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Hey, Bob, you got the box?
Whoa, Bob.
Hey, oh, you got the
Oh, hey, oh, whoa.
You got the box. Yeah, I do. I got the box. Right here.
Devil made me do it, did he?
That's right.
You can never really get rid of Justin. He's always here. Always.
Look at that case. Is that a 4K blue stay restoration stains? What is that?
It's a blue stains restored
Ah,
to 8K.
to
There you go.
8K? God
No.
damn.
MVD Rewind Collection. You can get this on Blu-ray if you want to. It's also on DVD and definitely on VHS. There's a lot of ways to get this. So, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes from 1978, rated PG. Runtime of 1 hour and 23 minutes. This was written by the holy triumvirate of Costa Dillon, John DeBello, and J. Stephen Peace. This was directed by John DeBello. Stars David Miller, George Wilson, Sharon Taylor, bunch of other folks. Plot synopsis brought to you by the back of the box is as follows. UFOs, Bigfoot, communists. The government has swiftly dealt with many a crisis, but can it survive the diabolical attack of the killer tomatoes? Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the supermarket, you're face to face with terror so bold, so frightening, it has never been seen on screen before or since. Not until the sequel, anyway.
Damn.
Ha 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 ha.
That's
is
multiple
it.
sequel erasure there, apparently.
Multiple, yeah. Gentlemen's, have you seen Attack of the Killer Tomatoes before? And would you recommend people check it out? Michael, kick us off.
I never seen this movie. I owned it. I never opened it. So I thought it was like, when you asked me to be on the show, I figured it was a good opportunity to crack it open and watch it. The only thing I knew about Attack of the Killer Tomatoes was the old video games.
Tomatoes.
The old Nintendo game and the cartoon from the early 90s. So I was excited about it. After watching this last night, which felt like a chore, and I think the movie was like an hour and 23 minutes. If I had more than a day, I probably would have wrote a list of 123 things I would have rather done than watch this movie. So no, I would not recommend this movie. It wasn't even funny.
Yeah.
It was like forced comedy. It was almost like that one guy that thinks he's funny and he just tries to crack jokes at the worst times.
I'm sitting right next to you. Okay.
Hey man, shut up.
That's rude. That's very rude.
Good afternoon, boys and girls, and welcome to Clown Town, USA.
Randy, what about you?
Yeah, likewise, I had not seen this film. It's been I wasn't familiar with the video games. I learned about that when I was like looking into it later after watching the film. But I did remember the 90s cartoon, specifically the theme song. I honestly did not think that theme song existed in the movies. I thought it was just a concoction for, the kids' rollout of a bunch of stuff for this property later on. But I was pleasantly surprised by that. As far as whether or not I'd recommend this, not especially. I think that this is absolutely a slapstick comedy centric film, not at all really for horror fans, not really and it is very much of its time. I will say that I am much, much softer on it than it appears everyone else is based on our text conversations and Mikey's resounding shit talk there. I don't think it's nearly that bad. I do think that it's got some merits, and we'll get into that shortly, but not a strong recommendation either at the same time.
Well, it's a first time watch for me. I'd never seen the show, never played the video games, didn't really know much about this franchise. I also didn't particularly like this movie, and I would say it's not a recommend for me. I know the sequel has Clooney in it. Seems like maybe the budget's a little higher. I don't know. Maybe that's worth checking out.
This is not famous Clooney. This is proto Clooney.
Sure, yeah.
But it does have what's his name? Gomez Adams in it. And that is the one that is better known, I think it's better regarded, generally speaking, than this one.
I think so, yeah.
As a comedy.
Yeah. I don't think you need to see this. It's fine.
I wouldn't even say it's fine.
It's
So plump, so right.
It's a plump tomato. Not a very high recommend from the Straight Chilling crew, I guess I would say. I don't know. Check it out.
Wow, you are really constipated right now. What is going on?
Check it out if you align
trying to
with
shit
Randy.
out a tomato.
That's there you go. All right, we're gonna spoil the shit out of this movie, and here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
Bob, did you write the plot synopsis for the movie? Nailed it.
Respond!
Killing it. Yes, I do have the plot synopsis typed up. And here we go. Brace yourselves. Here we go.
All right.
All right, the movie opens up with a scroll saying people laughed at Hitchcock when he made The Birds, but in 1975, when birds actually attacked people by the droves, they stopped laughing. Then we see a woman attacked by a killer tomato in her kitchen. We see several other people attacked by tomatoes, including a scene spoofing Jaws. Press Secretary Jim Richards tells the public there's no real threat, while the president secretly assembles a team of experts to handle the tomato problem. The team is led by Mason Dixon and also includes a disguise expert, a scuba diver, an Olympic swimmer, and a paratrooper. The disguise expert, he infiltrates the tomato camp, but reveals himself when he asks for ketchup for his hot dog. The president sends his press secretary to an ad agency to help create a campaign to ensure the public that the tomato problem is under control. A masked gunman tries to assassinate Mason Dixon, but he fails. A Senate subcommittee meeting is then investigating the tomato case. A large war breaks out shortly after on the West Coast, killing several. Mason Dixon runs into the assassin again, and they have a car chase. Dixon gets knocked out and awakens to find he's been captured by the press secretary, Richardson. Though he didn't create the tomatoes, he knows how to control them and is waiting for his civilization to collapse so he can be the savior. Before he reveals how he controls them, the paratrooper runs in and strikes him down with a sword. Dixon picks up a vinyl record of Puberty Love and recalls the tomatoes running from it earlier. They round up all the remaining people and congregate them at a stadium for a final showdown with the tomatoes. They play the song Puberty Love over the loudspeakers, and the tomatoes shrink, allowing them to be squished by the humans. Dixon then saves the reporter from an earmuff wearing giant tomato by showing him the sheet music for the Puberty Love song, and he shrinks. Dixon then professes his love for the reporter in a song. Finally, the film ends with a close-up of a carrot rising from the soil and saying, "All right, you guys, they're all gone now. Roll credits."
All right.
There you go.
That is it. Yeah.
That's a movie.
Consider your
my
ass
goodness.
spoiled.
You've been spoiled.
So yeah, go ahead, Bob. You looked like you were about to launch into something.
Yeah.
This movie, I feel like this movie's spoofing a lot of stuff that like maybe I just don't have context for, and I feel like maybe I just haven't seen. The ending of this movie specifically reminded me of the ending of Mars Attacks, which again is spoofing sci-fi movies from like the 50s. So like I feel like there's context that I just don't have necessarily to like maybe fully appreciate this.
Yeah, I feel that too. I mean, there's definitely stuff that like that I picked up on. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but there were some things on there I was like, oh, if I didn't have like conversations with my mom about this exact thing, I wouldn't know the context of this. Do you know what I mean? Like if I hadn't had a conversation about this sometime or
About killer tomatoes with your mother. We've all had that.
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, individual like little jokes or whatever they make like jokes about. I don't know, but it's also like extremely stupid humor and like it's like slapsticky. It's just 2 years before Airplane. I feel like it's a proto Airplane, but made with less budget and less ability overall. And for that reason, I kind of I'm drawn to it. I feel like it's a scrappy little production with like some absolute like terrible jokes, but I also cackled a couple times at this movie. There was a few moments that made me laugh out loud, and not because it was like particularly clever or anything or had anything biting or interesting to say, just because it's just like so fucking stupid. You just kind of this is one to slide over the dome for me.
Michael, did you cackle at all?
I laughed at when the Asian guy was talking. They just like
overdubbed him.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty funny, and I kind of had high hopes for that. But after that, it was just kind of downhill.
That was the highlight.
I thought that was pretty good. That made me laugh. But also,
I laughed. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was actually excited in the beginning of the movie when the lady was cooking in the kitchen, and all of a sudden the damn tomato was just thrown at her, and then she just started screaming because she was dying.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really hope this whole movie's just like this, but it wasn't.
It's not. Yeah, I feel like the majority of this movie, or at least half of this movie, is just meetings. And I want more like tomato murder, and you just really
that's totally fair.
You don't get it. There's so many meetings in this movie, and it just I don't. It bore. I found it like surprisingly boring. Like it starts off pretty interesting, but like there's just not enough. There's not enough of the red stuff, and I don't know. The comedy also like mostly didn't land for me. There was a couple chuckles here and there, but like it just didn't. It felt stale mostly for me.
Well, I mean, these are older jokes.
Yeah.
A lot of these jokes, like you said, are context free, but some of them are just like very, very stupid. But like, I'll laugh at a fart, so why wouldn't I laugh at some of this shit? Like, you know,
Farts are hilarious.
it's just very dumb. And like, I don't know, like this is like, I agree that like, I kind of wish there was more like tomato stalking going on and things like that. But I also recognize that's kind of part of the joke of the whole thing. Is I think that's partially the spoof. This is based on B horror movies where they couldn't afford to show things, just like this movie can't afford to show anything but fucking tomatoes that they bought in bulk, and then a few like costumes and giant sized editions that they roll around haphazardly. Like that's all they have. It's like rubber in that way. It's just sort of like, here's a stupid prop that nobody would ever be terrified of, and we can only afford to show it a couple of times anyway, so we're just gonna like, we just can't show you the good stuff. And they end up doing this like Wet Hot American Summer thing, and I have this bump for this very reason. This happens at the beginning and a couple other times where they do this.
You're doing it! You're actually doing it!
They do this like focusing on the person watching, and the person watching is describing what's going on as something like big that would normally a movie with a bigger budget would actually be able to put on screen, and this movie just doesn't, and it leans into that for comedic effect. I like that. I think that's hilarious. There's something like that, and then like the boardroom itself, like them going into this tiny little fucking boardroom and crawling over the table. It's so stupid, and I really, really laughed hard at it. I don't know. That shit works for me, and that's really down to a matter of taste, a matter of like, even a matter of like your where you are in your day. Like if I was in a bad mood, this movie would have hit me like a ton of bricks. I would have hated it. But because I was just kind of in an okay mood and I was just like laughing at frivolous bullshit, it washed over me just fine. So like, I don't know. I like some of these like little spoofy things in it. I think it is trying to do like spoofs on and satires on political stuff. It's kind of toothless in that regard, but it tries. But I do like, you know, the Mind Maker advertising agency where the guy does a dumbass song and dance about how he's manipulating the American public. Like, I understand like where that humor comes from. This seems to me like, I don't know if have you guys ever seen Glow, the show on Netflix with Mark Maron and Alison Brie?
Oh, hell yeah, it's great.
It reminds me, I imagine Mark Maron's character writing this.
Yeah,
where it's like high-minded bullshit, like swamped in B-movie bullshit on top of it, and it's just like creates a weird concoction that doesn't work for most people but him. That's what I get out of this.
I do think these song and dance moments in this movie are like actually they're like too good for this movie. They sort of like rise above almost. Like in that moment, like when they're in the ad agency, I was like not really laughing, but as soon as he starts singing his song, I was like, oh my God, this is like almost a legit show tune, like is what it felt like.
Yeah.
Like it felt
I
like
could see this being a stage production in some way. Like it would not be that hard to make this into a dumb stage production with beach ball tomatoes and shit.
Oh boy.
Nightshade Beach Balls band
How
name. It's a new band name.
I don't know, man. Like, you know this movie, you guys ever seen the movie Kentucky Fried Movie?
I have not.
I'm aware of it, but I haven't seen it.
So
it came out like 82 or something?
I think so. I think it was early 80s.
Yeah.
I bought that. It was a Shout Factory movie, and we reviewed it on the podcast, and I watched it. But that movie was kind of the same kind of humor. It was the campy, just different segments, and it's the same kind of humor, and I enjoyed that. This movie felt almost the same thing too. I almost felt like these Killer Tomatoes were a passenger to their own movie. Like the movie's called Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. You didn't get a lot of Killer Tomatoes. You mainly got these little segments of these guys doing a lot of dumb stuff.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. I think that was like an intentional choice for both budgetary reasons and because like for the big joke of the movie being a spoof on things that are like this, that do the same shit, that like disappoint in that regard. They're not going to like make good on it in a movie where they're literally making fun of those movies for not doing a good job. But at the same time, I can understand why, like, I wanted to see more tomatoes too. And that's why I think based on what I've seen anyway, because I haven't seen these other movies. But I think Return and the others start really like leaning into more of like showing more tomato action. I think there's like shapeshifter tomatoes and shit in the future. So like they clearly like kind of gave up on that joke. They did that joke and then they eventually moved on from it. But for the purposes of this movie, it really does just sort of like depend on whether or not you're willing to laugh at that more than you are willing to be annoyed that they for the bait and switch. Like it kind of falls into the same trap of what it's mimicking. So I can understand that criticism.
Yeah, I feel like there's like there's too much plot here. The headline is murder by tomato, and then when you put it on, it's just like governmental red tape, the movie, and like I understand that that's what they're commenting on. It's just like not super funny most of the time. You get a chuckle here and a chuckle there, but it doesn't really like land. Like what's promised, I feel like it's just not really delivered by the title. Like I want more of it for sure. I don't know. It's got like a couple jokes that work. The Asian fellow kind of worked. I think the biggest laugh I got actually was when towards the end of the movie, the UPS guy like knocks on the door and walks in to deliver a package, and the way he gets like executed in such a like nonchalant kind of way for some reason.
Yeah, it's singing telegram style.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. This guy like could have just dropped the package off, no problem. But that was not acceptable. That was the biggest laugh.
Like that joke to me harkens to Airplane specifically when whatever that like the big wig that comes in to save the day at the airport is just beating the shit out of all of the like the Hare Krishnas and shit like that, just like for no reason, just beating the shit out of anybody who speaks to him. And I don't know, there's something about like the unnecessary violence of it all. I think that's also like part of the gag. I don't think, like I said, it's not like particularly too like it doesn't have like a bite to it really, but it is a satire. I agree that like I think this movie could do with a lot more rapid fire jokes. Like it kind of like lacks in a few places. Like for instance, they name their character Mason Dixon. Why not have him be a like batshit insane like I don't know, make him like a turn of the century Civil War type guy with a big fucking mutton chop or something, and have him say all kinds of wild shit in that character. Instead, he's kind of like this like John Belushi light sort of guy, and you know it's fine, but like they don't make that name is just wordplay and they build nothing on top of it. So I think there's more building that they just neglected on some of these jokes that could have like filled things out a little bit more.
There was a very like clear Jaws spoof in this, which was also another highlight for me. Like the tomatoes like in the water chasing after these like teens who are partying, swimming or whatever. Like you don't get a lot of bloodshed or action from it, but like that was a highlight still, even then for me.
See, those are the scenes that I thought was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like that scene, you just saw people just splashing around in the water with tomatoes around them floating around, and they're just flailing in front of the camera. I thought that was funny. I wanted a lot of that.
Yeah,
but we didn't get we didn't get a lot of that.
I like that scene, but the thing I liked about it was just before they got attacked, when the girls are sitting on the raft and just like shit talking the president. I'm like, oh yeah, these teenage girls are having like intense political discussions. It's very funny to me that they're like, oh well, I wouldn't like anything's better than this president now. He's very incompetent. His stance on blah, blah, blah. I don't know. They're like making sort of like high-minded political commentary. And I thought it was about Jimmy Carter, who was president at the time. But as it turns out, there's like after that, we are introduced to the president, and he's just like sort of a guy who's installed there by the advertising agency, basically. I think they could have built on those things a little bit differently. But in the moment of that scene, I was like just laughing at like, I don't know. It reminded me of Garden Wall, Bob. I know you've seen this a lot. Mikey, I don't know if you've seen Over the Garden Wall, but there's this bit where they're walking like these two characters who we don't barely know. They're a bunch of kids walking to a graveyard together for Halloween, and one girl's like, "Oh, I think that I don't know, like you're like, oh, I think you're limiting the range of human understanding. So I think you're limiting how human beings talk to each other. Like they're having this high-minded conversation, and it's like a kid's cartoon. The context of it is so bizarre and disparate. That's what I get the humor out of with that scene in particular. I understood like the Jaws theme or whatever, but there's also quite a bit of like what do you call it? Like pop culture reference stuff that goes on in this movie, aside from the slow the B movie plot filling bullshit. That kind of is more like an epic movie sort of level thing that, like, I don't know, like a reference to something doesn't titillate me the way that like people acting in bizarre ways does, you know?
Like the speaking on the ad agency guy where he like shows something that he had created for some other ad campaign or whatever, and it's like Jesus, hi, I am Jesus Christ for Technotron. Like,
yeah,
like just Jesus purely selling you something like 1-to-1 is basically what happens.
Yes, I thought that was hilarious, and like particularly because the guy's face was like so like, oh my god, like I don't know, it was just so dumb, so dumb. The acting in this is like bad, but it's like it knows it's bad, it knows what it's doing for the most part, I think, and I think that works. But some of the cultural context, like Technotron, like maybe that's a deeper joke than I know. I don't know what that company is. I had to look up when he was talking about like the tomatoes campaign. He's like, oh, and the Stop Tomatoes Protection or whatever, and he holds up a logo that says STP. I was like, I know that logo from somewhere, and it's like a lubricant, like it's an oil brand. And I was like, so it's clearly like spoofing on, like, if I didn't have that context knowledge, then that joke would have been lost on me entirely. And I think there is, like, to your point earlier, Bob, just a lot of that going on. So maybe it is more packed with jokes than we think. It's just not jokes that are relevant to us in our age right now. I don't know.
Could be, yeah. There's a sequence with a bunch of kids riding dirt bikes and just pounding Coors Banquet.
Yeah, they are.
Which I think we can all just understand what they're going through.
I mean,
in their moment.
Yeah.
For sure.
The banquet.
Yeah, we've all been there.
It's a funky little tomato.
What about the scenes when it was like you're watching ESPN where you have like the teleprompter stuff on the bottom of the screen just saying random shit?
Oh, yeah, the like ads running.
Yeah. I
loved that.
I laughed when that came up. I'm like, what's the point of doing this? Like it's they're just throwing it out there.
It's
joke,
like Monty Python shit. Like it's like the intro of Holy Grail where they're just like, oh, we sacked that guy and now I'm somebody else. We're going to write it a whole different style. And then at the end of this one, it's like they show it the first time and it's like highlighting the amount of just like packing in advertising into your movie sort of thing. And then they do it a second time. It's like, oh my God, tomatoes are in here. Oh God. And then it just like cuts them off basically. I don't know. It's a nice setup, and it wasn't the like number one joke in the world. I think they could have done a little bit more with it again, but like for what it is, it's a silly little frivolous thing that I liked.
Yeah, there's like a decent gag. There's like one guy sitting in a library somewhere, and he just looks around and slowly says tomato, and like everybody fucking scatters. There's like some decent gags in this movie. I think the movie opens up pretty impressively. There's like a helicopter explosion.
That was not faked. I don't see how they could have.
It was a literal helicopter explosion. And like when you're watching this movie and it starts that way, you're like, oh my God, there's a budget here, but then you see the rest of it, and there's clearly not much of a budget here. The budget for this movie was roughly $100,000, and that helicopter explosion was just an accident. Like they rented a copter for that scene. It was supposed to land. And you can see in the movie the tail like hits the ground and it puts it in a spin, and it legitimately crashed on accident. So that happened.
My God.
Nobody was hurt, which is good. Good news. Nobody died.
Yeah,
hurt.
I assumed that. That's why I laughed so hard that no one got hurt. But
after they like pulled the guy, the captain or pilot, whatever, from the wreckage, they set it on fire, and they just like ad-libbed some shit and like really cashed in on it. Basically,
I was wondering
My God,
about that
that's-
scene because I was
Yeah.
like, "There's no way they faked that, or they were able to,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
on a low budget
Afford
movie
that,
like
yeah.
this." I guess they had Kobe Bryant's pilot on that plane. I don't know.
damn.
He
did
I don't know, man. Like
survive.
the whole thing is like, I totally assumed that was like 50% of the budget right there. I was like, that joke's not worth that, and that makes so much sense. It makes me like this movie more.
It was roughly 60% of the budget.
I mean, after the fact, or was it like it was not intended to be that much of the budget? It was meant to be a day's rental, I'm sure.
Right, yeah. After the fact, I think it
Yeah.
cost them about $60,000 from $100,000
I
total.
mean-
Yeah,
That's just like fucking hilarious to me. That I wish that context could come through in the movie because it makes it so much funnier to me to see how much cheaper everything looks after that. Like, oh god, it's supposed to look cheap to some degree, but like they scrimp and save on everything. They reuse sets over and over again. I think that's why we have so many meetings, because like a meeting room is a cheap and easy place to film something. Also, it also does play into the B movie thing of like, you know, the professor hyper explaining things and all that other shit. Like they get to do moments like that. And the one they did in this one was the the Japanese guy, with the voiceover. I love like that, and like the piece of shit journal or newspaper editor who's like being sexist as fuck. I don't know. Like there's something really like it seems like they're intentionally taking the piss out of those things about like taking bigotry a little bit, but like not in any way that's like super serious. I don't know. I'm going to be doing a lot of equivocating on this fucking episode, obviously.
I think that's fair. I think my biggest like pro for this movie, my biggest positive, is that there's a group of people that took almost no money whatsoever and like made this super low budget like horror sci-fi spoof, and it's like a franchise now. They had like a lot of friends and family like help them put it together, and it produced 3 sequels and a television show and multiple games. And like a lot of people from our generation like know the theme song from the show and from this movie, and like it lives on in a way that a lot of things don't, and it was just like by sheer like force of will, it seems. So like I think that's really cool and inspiring and interesting, and like I don't necessarily like love the end result necessarily, but like the grit that it took to make this happen, which led to so many other things, I think is like commendable and interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Mikey, you look like you're jumping in. Go ahead.
No, I'm just surprised there's 4 sequels or there's 4
3
total movies.
4 total movies, yeah.
I think I've seen the second one because I remember when you mentioned this, I was thinking, I was like, isn't that with George Clooney? But you said that part 2 was.
The sequel has Clooney. I believe it's introducing George Clooney.
Yeah.
I
I think so,
his
yeah.
first
Is that
movie.
an Arrow release?
I think, yeah. I think
that's
so.
why I
think
thought
it is,
that.
yeah.
I think I have it.
Wrong show, gentlemen.
Yeah.
So
The wrong kid died.
So the success of the wrong kid died. The success of this movie led to 3 sequels, all co-written by the same 3 people and all directed by DeBello. So same director for all 4 movies. The first sequel's Return of the Killer Tomatoes from '88, Killer Tomatoes Strike Back 1990, Killer Tomatoes Eat France 91.
Holy shit.
Those are the 3 sequels.
I think that's the one that like they started like afterwards churning. They must have like started churning out the kids stuff for our era to have recognized it, you know. But I never heard of that movie.
Yeah.
I think the second one definitely has the best like reputation from what I've seen, or like that's the go-to one. People can often say skip this one, and I think that's understandable if this next one is just like a less shoddy version of this. But I don't know. I think that there's like, I think you're right to be like, I love the scrappiness of this production. It couldn't be clearer that they're operating on a shoestring budget, and the fact that they blew up half of it makes it so much funnier to me. So I don't know. I guess I have that like sort of like it has that charm of like, let's go make a movie. We're gonna make a dumb like. It's like I feel like it's something that if we gathered enough steam on Kickstarter, we might make something of comparable value, which is to say, questionable value. But people who like it. You know,
It'll spawn 3
I like
sequels.
that about it.
Let's
Yeah, and if
do
it spawns 3 sequels and like captures enough attention for that to have people like decades on talking about it on their fucking new technology, that's incredible. Like, good for them.
Yeah. The song that like defeats the tomatoes is, I don't know, it seems like nonsensical, I guess. Like I don't It's well, it sounds like that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I feel like it's just referencing something that I don't really understand what it is, but the title Puberty Love seems, I don't know, man. Like it out of control, unnecessary is what it feels like.
Well, I mean, this whole movie,
Sure,
is category.
Yeah.
Categorically, that's what this whole movie is. And I don't know. Like, to me, it's funny. It's like I might be referencing something. I hadn't actually even considered that. I just thought they were making like a high-pitched voiced man, an annoying voice to sing in that sounds like a kid going through puberty if you squint, sort of thing. And that's just the joke. And by the way, I'm not convinced that the Mars attacks thing that you mentioned, the similarity there, isn't a direct like reference or inspired by this movie in some way. I wouldn't be surprised if Elfman had seen this movie and pulled inspiration from it.
Sure.
Would you guys?
I think that makes sense, but I do think this movie's spoofing something that set that up that like I just don't know about. That's my guess.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like it's just like something cheap they can throw on there. They make a silly song. They're writing other songs anyway. Maybe they even like were just drinking one night and this song was like a laugh, and so they worked it into the movie and made it like a central plot point of the movie. I don't know. It's got that sort of feel where it feels like nothing. Whatever that footage they get is what they're going to get, and they're kind of doing it on the fly. It feels very scrappy. So I could see that being the case.
Yeah, it is very scrappy.
Very scrappy.
Yeah. Some of the gags in this movie, like, I feel like they don't necessarily age super well. Like they're not just like not super funny, but like some of them, like the dude just dressing up as Hitler for seemingly no reason. I don't think that really matters. Most things don't matter in this movie. To be fair, I guess it's just kind of like a nonsense reference, I guess. Like I don't know. I
mean, he's like not going to, the joke is that he's a master of disguise and doing the worst, least convincing costumes imaginable. That's the whole joke, and no one's going to buy Black Hitler as the real Hitler. That's the joke. Like, to me, it makes perfect sense. It's not like bust a gut funny, but it's a consistent running gag. And when it lands with him in a goddamn tomato costume asking for ketchup, I laughed pretty good at that. I was like, oh, this is so fucking stupid. I thought he was the funniest of the like whatever, like the unit or whatever. The guy with the parachute, his like running gag of just always having a parachute on was kind of funny. And then like the woman who was like a pole vaulter or something, or like a track and field person who he ate a big bowl of steroids and then got killed by tomatoes. I laughed at the steroids, but like the rest of her character is kind of nothing. And then the scuba diver, I don't even remember what fucking happened to him. He just kind of fucked off into the desert, and that was kind of funny. That's the last I remember seeing him. Did they show him again?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, there you go.
Your explanation of the joke, it
sounds more funny than the actual movie.
Than the movie, yeah.
The movie in those scenes has like kind of bad timing too. Like that's another thing that's like the comedy doesn't always land. I think because the comedic timing is off at times. Like the editing is not that great. And I don't know. I don't want to blame it entirely on that because it might just not be funny to everybody, or it might just not land for other reasons. But to me, I feel like the slow zoom into his face as he's Adolf Hitler is kind of like, okay, you don't need to linger this long. Like maybe it's just my taste as being like raised on The Simpsons and shit that's much faster paced. But it seemed like, okay, we got it. And then they did a whole like back and forth, and the Wiener Schnitzel joke or whatever. It's all good, but it's maybe just lingers a little bit long. If I had to put a guess as to why that doesn't land entirely the way that you want it to, you know?
Yeah. Michael,
Yeah.
how you feel? How you feeling?
You know what? Honestly, listening to Andy talk about this movie is more entertaining than actual watching this movie.
I agree.
The way he describes it, like if I've never seen this movie before, he's selling me on watching this movie.
But don't.
Yeah, well, don't really recommend.
Reminder: I didn't give it a strong recommend either because I think this is for very specific flavor of person and a very specific point in their day and life. I don't think everybody's gonna. I think a majority of people are probably not gonna get the same things out of this, which tracks based on what I'm hearing from you two.
I agree. A part of me was kind of hoping one of y'all were gonna make a bump with the little tomato voices, the way they talk, like when they're rolling down the street.
I mean, I don't have that, so I appreciate.
Honestly,
the setup.
I thought one bump.
I do have this.
I thought it was like
however.
the little voices, but I couldn't tell. See that? I thought that was. Did you play that already? I don't know
That's
anymore,
Bigfoot.
man.
That's
Everybody
Bigfoot.
knows. Everybody
Legally
knows.
distinctive.
I don't even. I
From
didn't have a lot of
tomatoes.
sun today.
That's a big feat.
That's a big feat.
We all know.
I think you're a tomato boy. We all know it.
I do like tomatoes.
Yeah, no.
We all
But
do.
yeah, I don't know. Like that. Like there was too many dumb bumps to include and not enough time. I'm sorry to say.
I feel that. I think there's like a solid visual gag towards the end with the giant ass tomato wearing earmuffs. And like the only way to defeat this tomato because he can't hear the song that's playing is to show them a piece of sheet music.
The sheet music got him. That's so stupid.
That did actually make me laugh because it's so fucking ridiculous. As he like approaches the camera, you can make out that it's the sheet music for puberty love, which is I still feel weird about the title of that song, but
It's
Bob's
funny.
not down with
It's
puberty.
funny. It's I don't know. It's goofy shit that actually landed.
Yeah, another one that was around. I feel like, well, maybe it was earlier in the film. Actually, now that I think about it, but one that was like on that same level to me was of like stupid but funny. Was when they have the doctor inspecting this giant tomato the size of a basketball or whatever. And he goes, "It's not what we thought it was. This is a cherry tomato." Hard cut to the biggest fucking tomato in the world rolling its way down a highway
Keep rolling,
towards this
rolling.
screaming lady. I don't know, man. That shit works for me. If you're not expecting this movie to be more than what it is, I think that you can get a lot of like little chuckles and laughs and even some cackles in there like I did. But I mean, your mileage, like all slapstick, your mileage varies based on your personality. I don't know what else to say beyond that. There's people that think that Airplane is stupid. I think that they're stupid, but they exist.
Airplane's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that one is more universally loved, and I think that has a lot to do with A, its willingness to go R-rated a little bit more, B, its number of jokes per capita, and C, its longevity of its jokes. Most of its jokes are more like dumb wordplay that is not something that gets hung up on 70s, the context of that was created in.
Shit.
So like you don't necessarily have to know the cultural
hits the fan.
like yeah, shit
5
hits the fan.
stars.
The Mayo Clinic has giant jars of mayonnaise in it. Like it's even this movie has a sort of like no loading in the red zone sort of like overlay joke at one point. I don't remember what they said. It wasn't as funny, but it was like on a military base or something, and they had like a voiceover saying silly shit. I don't know. It's not as like developed as that movie is, but it also predates it by 2 years. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that became the gold standard. But before that, we were kind of like slapstick was kind of still maybe partially trapped in the Laurel and Hardy era. And it was only still being I don't know. And this is me speculating because I just really don't know what the field of comedy was for slapstick at the time. But I just feel like it needed this kind of movie to then move us towards an Airplane kind of movie, a spoof satire of films itself that just like elevated all of those jokes to something better than what this movie on its small budget and its scrappy nature was capable of doing. If this movie didn't have a Leslie Nielsen to kick around, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. There's, I don't know. I feel like there's not much more to touch on here. There's, I don't know, like the shitty advertisement guy, like delivers on a song or two, but like he also has some like pretty crass jokes.
Did we talk about like the actual like the war on the street when the soldiers were actually fighting the tomatoes, like shooting at them and everything?
Oh yeah,
like that?
Not
where they're
really.
just like running down the street and there's just like little
And
explosions,
like, explosions,
that happen.
and then you see damn like handmade tomatoes, giant tomatoes just rolling down the street when they're making those crazy micro machine type noises, whatever the hell their voices are.
Yeah. Yeah, there's all those sorts of shit like that. And there was also, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but just on a technical level, it made me laugh. I don't think this was intended to be funny, but they have maybe the worst day for night shot I've ever seen of a tank rolling down. It's like sun dappled or whatever, but the brightness of the whole thing is taken down to almost pure black, so it's supposed to be a nighttime shot. It was fucking terrible in a funny way. Anyway.
There was like one like earlier beat in this movie where like there's a cyborg or like some sort of robot created to like battle the tomatoes. Yeah. I feel like not much really comes from that though. Like they should.
No, that is a joke on the $1 Million Man, a famous TV show at the time.
That went over my head.
Yeah, and that's definitely a contextual thing where it was $6 Million Man. That's who it was.
Steve Austin.
You'll Steve Austin, yeah, where he was like, I don't remember the exact
Stone
premise,
Cold?
but he became
Yes.
No, he was Chrome Cold, but he was like a man that got hit by a car, so I don't know, some sort of agent, and he became like basically super powered, and he could run really fast and do all kinds of like Inspector Gadget shit, is my assumption. But like they could only afford to do one leg, so he ran really fast, but just with the one leg, and they spun in circles. Very stupid, but you kind of have to know that context to get the most out of that joke.
I did not,
and it's not that funny of a joke,
at all. Thank you for explaining, Randy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good Lord. Any other points you guys want to mention? I feel like we kind of.
I'm just gonna like list jokes if you can let me keep talking. So.
Okay. No,
Mikey's done.
You're just shaking your head.
You can shit on this movie if you want, man.
I mean, I already voiced my opinion on it, and usually I like to stay very positive and optimistic about things, about everything.
True.
But man, this movie was just—it's been a while since I've watched a pile of shit like this. It's been a like, man. Once we rate this thing, you're really like, I was really upset. I didn't even want to go on my goddamn letterbox and even put it. But I didn't want to.
Not even worth the time.
No, I was like, God damn, I'm over this. I was missing my NBA games. I could have been watching.
Oh no!
I could have been
throwing ball. You could be watching them throw ball.
Yeah, I could have been playing Spider-Man. I could have been what else could I could have been watching the last episode of Attack on Titan last night.
Damn.
I could have been
That's not funny.
Man, I could have watched a lot of stuff. I could have cleaned my room. I could have cut my toenails.
Could have just been sleeping.
That too. Man,
Mikey famously has world record length toenails, as we all know.
Actually, I did fall asleep. Like I think it was 23 minutes in, I saw how much time was in this movie, and it was only 23 minutes in. It's like an hour and 23 minutes. I had to pause it and take a nap for like 30 minutes and then come back and finish it.
Damn.
I was so over this damn movie.
Yeah.
See, I feel like a good litmus test for whether or not you like this movie is if you're a trauma fan. And I'm not a big trauma fan, which is why that's strange. But I think that this fits nicely into that category where it's like it knows what it is, and you're either down with it or you're not. You know what I mean? Like,
I like most trauma stuff. Trauma's very hit or miss, though.
I'm not a trauma guy. It's
the thing that trauma doesn't do right for me is it's just a little bit too like fucked up in content sometimes for my enjoyment. And this movie skirts that splendidly. It's a PG movie, you know.
Yeah, there's like one or maybe two trauma movies that I can like get behind, but it's not really my vibe typically.
But power to them at the same time. Like it's also like a breeding ground for creative folks, and I'm like psyched that they get to do their shit to some degree.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely like would cheer them on and want them to do well, but I don't really like the movies typically.
No, I feel the same way, and which is like this movie kind of like hits a nice medium that doesn't bother me in that way, and I'm still chuckling. So that's just me. Might as well be my review. So
support Uncle Lloyd.
Yeah, Lloyd Kaufman. We met him.
We did. He's super cool.
Yeah, he's wearing a Tupac sweater.
He's a nice fella. He was.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
A Tupac sweater. He's the coolest person I've ever met. He's cooler than any of us will ever be. Period.
Probably, yeah. And he had a fucking a crew.
Yeah, he rolled deep.
Oh,
yeah.
He's beloved for good reason.
Sure.
He's great.
Love him.
And love that there's little scrappy like throw shit at the wall style production studios out there allowing people to thrive in horror even with like the dumbest idea imaginable.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Watch Poultrygeist.
I was just about to say that. God damn it.
It's weird.
I was just about to say that.
Also watch it.
Watch that over this.
Well, yeah.
Watch some Killer Chicken than Killer Tomatoes.
See, I would rather watch this myself. It offends me, as it offends my sensibilities a little bit less. But at the same time, good. I'm glad this again. It's all about personal taste with these kinds of slapstick dumb movies. You either are on board or you're not. And I've yet to find a movie that I felt middle ground about with these trauma movies in particular.
Well, let's go ahead and rate this thing. Seems like we're getting to the point. Out of 5, Michael. Why don't you kick us off? How do you feel about Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
Man, fuck these nightshades. I'm giving this movie half a star. I couldn't believe it. You know what I said to myself after I watched this movie? I was begging that you guys had me on the podcast again about butthole or poo-poo or doo-doo or just gross stuff over a movie like this again.
Oh no, she's been traumatized. Is she okay?
The funny thing is, we were like, it'll be nice to have Mikey on for a show that's not just about like dicks and farts.
Yeah, we gave you what you wanted.
Bring me back to reality, baby. I need some more gross shit again. This is the first time I mean, I don't remember the last time I had to fall asleep and then just wake up and then finish the movie. We had to take a quick cat nap.
We've totally institutionalized Mikey. We've turned him into a company man for the doo-doo caca movies.
At least we know we got a guy. We got a shit poop cock guy.
Yeah, if there's not a dick in the movie, I don't want to review it.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad.
That's too damn bad. All right, half star from Mikey. Ray and Deezy, what about you?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I definitely feel differently. We've covered this, and like I can't blame Mikey for not liking this movie. This is bound to be a divisive movie. So many of these slapstick comedies are. That's why they don't make so many of them anymore, because divisive movies are not necessarily as profitable. So we don't get comedies anymore, and when we do, they're very, very like they underperform. People don't care about them because they're not promoted as well. All these problems exist because comedy is so hard to define amongst a larger swath of people. And this is a very niche kind of movie. I think that this movie has a lot of like fun, dumb satire things. It's stupid, but occasionally smart, not smart enough to pull it completely out of its depths. But it does try and elevate itself to some degree. I think it's fucking hilarious that they fucked up so bad that they ruined half of their fucking budget. Nothing is more like it's just so human feeling. Like you said, it reminded you of the guy that tries to be funny but isn't, and that guy made a movie. I could understand that, but at the same time, like, it didn't make me like cringe because I felt like it knew what it was. If that guy makes a movie and just like knows how fucking stupid it is and is just down to like throw shit at the wall and try something and does, good for him. Like, I don't know. We talked about how I feel about like scrappy movie makers and things like that. I feel like there's more heart put into this movie than there was in fucking Hubie Halloween, which I talked about last week on What You've Been Watching. That movie's lazy as shit, at least in the comedy department. The production looks great, but it's fucking, and the star power is great, but it like the comedy is fucking lame. It's just like like the first draft, nothing more. This movie at least knows that it's like making shit up as it goes, and it leans into it in a way that I think works to some degree. It's not a movie I recommend to most people because you really just kind of have to be that kind of person, the kind of person that sees these sort of things in movies. And you know, and your mileage may vary on any slapstick, really. So for me, I enjoyed this. I laughed a good bit, but I also recognize that, saying that you're doing a bad job on purpose doesn't negate the times you just do a bad job. It has to be entertaining for that bad job to be worth the shit. And it isn't always that. A lot of the jokes don't land. A lot of them are maybe culturally removed from me or whatever. So for me, I'm going to go with a 3.
Oh my
A 3.
God.
Yeah. It's better than average for me. It's just not much better than average.
I'm surprised. Wow. Okay.
In terms of enjoyment is a huge chunk of that.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And Hubie Halloween. I still quote Hubie Halloween. You want some soup?
Yeah.
Boner donor. I'll slide in real quick. I think I respect this movie's grind. There's a couple chuckles to be had here. This did obviously go on to become a franchise, which is really interesting and surprising, I would say. Overall, though, I think what it's really trying to comment on and deliver on as far as jokes, just it feels very flat for me. I feel like I don't get much from the commentary or the comedy when I watch this. I feel like I kind of see where it's going, and it just kind of it doesn't fully deliver for me. And it's rough to watch a comedy that's just really not making you laugh. So I don't know. I didn't really like this. It was kind of a chore to get through. So I'll just come in with a solid 1 star out of 5.
Oh boy. I'm so glad that I shot over.
We're balancing each other.
I kind of padded to balance.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
It's not a movie for me. So Juice was not able to be here this evening. He is flying back to the States currently, but he did watch the movie and he sent in his own review. Randy, do you have that to play?
I got it. And
Thank
away
you.
we go.
Right on.
Oh, what up, everyone? It's your boy Soju calling in this week. Sorry I couldn't be on. I am currently flying through the air, headed back to the States for the holidays. But I did want to call in and give my thoughts on Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I had never seen this film before. It didn't really know much about it, except for the fact that in the 90s, there was this cartoon that was based off of this, which is wild to me now that I've seen it. And so I knew it through that. Didn't really remember much about that. Kind of went back and looked at some of the episodes. Didn't watch them fully because I just wasn't that interested. I was just kind of curious what it was actually based on. And so it was interesting to see this movie and see kind of the characters, the Wilbur guy, the guy with the parachute and the sword, he's in the cartoon and stuff like that. So that was interesting. But for this actual film, what I will say is I want to give props for the artwork because the design of the cover and the posters and stuff looks fantastic. And also the song, which is just catchy as shit and has lived in my memory forever. Because that's what they used for the theme song of the show as well. So good on them for that. This one kind of reminds me of the episode we talked about last week, Fear, where this feels like very much a time capsule of when it came out, the type of humor that was prevalent. It is obviously, spoofing off a lot of films that were popular around that time. And so it's interesting through that lens. It's very, very goofy. And it's the type of humor, it's so silly that I'm not typically into it. But despite that, there were still a few jokes in this that I got some chuckles out of. I found this to be a very kind of chuckly kind of movie. And unfortunately, I had to watch it by myself. I feel like if I had watched it with somebody, like just a week later, if I was watching it with Bob or something, I feel like this would have been boosted up a little bit. But still, even by myself, I got some solid chuckles out of it. The guy dressed as a tomato and then saying, anybody have any ketchup or whatever? That's ridiculous. The whole team that they put together. puberty love. Oh my god! I think really this movie comes down to mostly just commenting on those jokes, because the story is almost nothing. It's almost in a way kind of a spoof of spy movies in a way, not just monster movies, but movies of the time. And yeah, there's just a handful of jokes that were pretty okay. When he's complimenting the reporter woman, and he's saying, you've got good organizational skills and all these positive things, and at the very end he just says like, and you got a great ass. Like that got a pretty good laugh out of me. The Asian guy in the meeting having the voiced overdub, that kind of got me pretty good. Just little things, dad jokes, or the kind of humor that is just pretty long gone, over the top silly, and it was quaint in a kind of way. But to be honest, this movie's not that long. It's like 80 minutes, and it was a slog for me to get through, though. I mean, even with those chuckly moments, I kind of had to watch this in pieces, and it was just not very pleasurable to get through. I just felt like I was just having to get through it. And the scenes, they're just like a bunch of these just random scenes. I mean, there is kind of a story and a progression, but it's just not that interesting to me. I do want to give them props, though, because I do respect a lot of the idea of putting something like this together, where even at the very beginning they say, people laughed at Hitchcock because of the birds or whatever. And, I know they're not taking that seriously, but to say I'm going to make a movie about tomatoes that kill people, and then putting this kind of film together and seeing how they get away with some stuff, even when that guy runs into the office with this sword and he stabs the guy right before he gives the information away how to control him or whatever, but just the cuts of not needing to do any kind of special effects really. It's just, they handle it as best they can with what appears to be a very, very super low budget. I don't know, though. They crashed a fucking helicopter. I don't know what was up with that. But, just putting tomatoes on people, or making these giant tomatoes that they're just rolling around and stuff. I mean, in some ways, it kind of gives some context to some movies like Rubber for me, honestly. About these kind of spoof films that people were making, or that inspired people later, of just how far you could go with what could be the monster, or what kind of premise can you really sell and make a film around. So I do want to give props for that, because they did make an 80-minute movie about tomatoes that kill people. And in some ways it kind of reminded me of Deathbed, even though I feel like Deathbed took itself a lot more seriously, whereas this one is obviously just fucking joking. But I feel like that might hurt it a little bit, though, too, because since they are not taking themselves seriously, there's no characters to really care about, or no kind of like plot beats to really care about. It really is just like going from an okay joke to an okay joke to an okay joke for like 80 minutes. And that gets old pretty quick, especially for the dated kind of humor. So with that, I'm going to give it a 1.5. And like I said, if I watch this with a group, I could definitely see this going up a little bit with some drinks, with some good friends. I feel like it would be a pretty good time, kind of like a Birdemic or something like that. But just watching it on my own, unfortunately, it just wasn't that great. But interesting. Like I said, a interesting little time capsule, and I'm kind of glad to know where that show came from now. So wild. I hope they cover in trivia how that show got made. I can't believe that the tiny little low budget film like this got a show like that later on. But yeah, that's it. I'll catch you guys next week. And until next time, don't forget to keep chilling.
Fantastic.
Nope. It was like he was in the room the entire time.
The whole time.
Deathbed is a good correlation. I'm glad he brought that up, because there is kind of a key difference between movies that are trying to be spoofs and movies that accidentally become spoofs. And it is usually like for my taste, much funnier the second way.
I totally
But like
agree.
an intentional spoof can also be very, very like Bigfoot Monster Mystery. Unintentional spoof, hilarious. One of the funniest
Best
things I've ever
movie
seen.
I've
This
ever
movie,
seen. Yeah.
this movie, not an unintentional spoof, not nearly as funny as that, and it would have to work really goddamn hard to reach that. Only movies like there's a reason that Airplane is a seminal movie in this genre. It's because it's very hard to hit it that hard and that accurately. Nobody talks about Airplane 2: the sequel because it's not as good. Like
The shit doesn't hit the fan the same way.
No, it doesn't. Roger.
Juice called in with a 1.5, and that's going to put our aggregate at a 1.5. The great equalizer, Juice.
Sounds about right.
Strikes again. Fantastic.
Wait, what?
Let's jump into a Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Certified fresh to death.
You know, you're expecting me to do some very, very clever riffing on the name of the website, but I got nothing.
I was going to say, I thought we already talked about Rotten Tomatoes.
It writes
Oh,
itself.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Mikey, you're hilarious.
I try my
Mikey.
best.
You really cracked that one, buddy. I appreciate
Nailed
you.
it.
All right. Rotten Tomatoes segment for those who are new to the podcast. In this segment, I'm going to give these two gentlemen a chance to guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate positive scores are for both critics and audiences for Attack of the Killer Tomatoes per RottenTomatoes.com. We're going to start, as we always do, with the critical score. There's only 11 critical scores, and I got to think that they're more modern just because it's a website and not a newspaper. But I have no idea. So keep that in mind. 11 reviews. I'm going to start with our esteemed guest, Mikey, here. Mikey, out of those 11 guests, 11 reviewers, how many of those, or what percentage do you think were positive reviews? Ooh,
Wow.
Jesus.
11 people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say 22%.
22 percentile.
So I'm
Bob,
gonna
where are you
say
at with it?
like two people.
I think this is going to be like in the fucking basement low. This is not a critical darling at all. I think Mikey's on the right track here. I'm going to take the under. And I'm going to go crazy low with like a 12%.
12 percentile.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the correct guess is 5 percentage points off. You guys are definitely both in the neighborhood. But Mikey's going to take this one. It's 27%. 27% positive.
All it takes is 2 nerds out of 11 to like this damn movie. and if
2 nerds.
And if 1 out of 4 of us like this movie, then I just put those numbers in perspective.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
You're a math genius.
That's my half Asian side.
Jesus. All right. We're going to move right on that note. Bob, we're going to go to you to start this one. The audience score, there are 25,000 plus
Holy
audience
shit.
ratings. This is a significantly larger sample size. Keep that in mind as you guess. Where do you think those 25,000 plus ratings place this film on an aggregate positive score?
It's got to be higher. Like this is somewhat of a cult film. I don't know how high you want to go, but like it's definitely higher than the critical score for sure. I'll take I'll go down the middle with a 50.
50? All right.
Yeah.
How about you, Mikey? Where are you going to go with it? Over, under, sideways? How's it going?
Oh, man. 20? That's a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Thousands.
I'm
Tens of thousands.
I'm going to guess like nerds like watch the cartoon like me,
Fucking
and they
loved it.
came back.
They love this shit.
I don't think my mom loves your shit this time. I'm going to say, oh my God, that's a lot of fucking people who sought out this stupid ass movie. 42%. I wanted to say 33, but I think that was way too low. So I'm going to say 42.
All
42. So 42, not 33. Yeah.
42. But I was originally going to say 33. I want to say 42.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's take a look. Let me do a little quick math here. Ring-a-ding-ding. Somebody has it on the money.
Oh,
Holy
shit.
I bet you can guess who that is. And Mr. Mikey's going to take away with this one. 42% on the dime.
I had,
Holy
dude,
shit.
I swear to God, I did not look this bullshit
top.
up. I didn't want to even think about this fucking movie after I watched it.
Damn, dude.
Holy shit. I couldn't believe that.
Big old doinks.
Well done, my boy. You earned them big doinks.
Dude.
42 percentile. There is no critical consensus just because of the lack of critical reviews. But as we always do, I'm going to round this out with a couple of negative reviews and just see what they think about this movie. Here's one. Turned into a B-movie classic based on its title alone. That's a 3 out of 10 rating. Sounds like a positive rating to me.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. The really frustrating thing about Tomatoes is the toothlessness of its satire. That's too accurate. That's too accurate. I think I used that exact word, actually. Let's see. I'm going to read one user negative review just to round things out here really quick. I dare anyone to find a film with a stupider premise than this. Some funny bits here and there, but otherwise practically unwatchable.
Oh, we can.
I love complaining about the premise of the movie Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. They clearly took that very seriously.
Is so stupid. Yeah.
That reminds me of, I watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure when I was working at summer camp once on my day off, and somebody came into the room. It was like a shared space. Somebody came in and watched with me who was like, just kind of like the most straightforward dude I've ever known in my life, basically. I don't know if I ever saw him laugh. I'm not sure. But we watched it, and then like he kept asking questions like, what does he do for a living? And I'm like, dude, this movie's not for you, my guy. You can go take a nap or something. This is not one for you.
If you guys review
power to that
movie,
guy, and that's fine.
You have to have me on the show. I've been talking about that movie for months now.
Mikey loves that shit.
That movie is one of my favorite movies ever, for sure.
Hello, Mr. Breakfast.
Fucking love it. But yes.
Can I have some Mr. T
Talk about
cereal?
You talk about missing like missing what it's going for. This guy and my coworker at summer camp.
But how does
they
he
should start
pay
a club?
His mortgage? I don't get
Wait a minute, but like, wouldn't he be taxed on that? Wait a minute, I don't think he paid for. Well, hold on a second. Dinosaurs aren't made of clay. Well, wait a minute. That clown's face changed. This movie's not realistic at all.
Large Marge isn't even that large. I hate this.
Yeah, exactly.
You just gotta.
So
hug
yeah,
him.
that's our Rotten Tomato. I'm sorry, what?
Just hug him. Just give him a big old hug.
We
talked
if
about
that's
that.
not your speed, it's not your speed.
We talked about that one time. I think it was like on a Halloween commentary, where like when like Michael Myers, you actually get to see him stalk his prey in like some of the new Halloween movies.
Yeah.
And then we're like, man, you usually don't get to see that kind of like behind the scenes kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I asked like, why don't they ever film James Bond taking a shit? I mean, he's all like caviar and champagne. I mean, you got to shit after you eat that.
Because
you eat like that.
That's what MacGruber's for.
Oh man, I seen that movie for the first time like 2 months ago. That's a pretty funny movie.
I fucking love that movie.
That was a
Will
good
Forte
one.
can do no wrong in my eyes. Yeah, so that's our Rotten Tomatoes segment.
Tight.
Yeah, Bob, what's next?
We got a little bit of trivia. Let's go ahead and get into it.
It's totally time for trivia.
All right. I mentioned some of this during the main review. Here's what's left over. So the song Puberty Love was performed by Matt Cameron, who would later go on to be the drummer for Soundgarden. And then after that, Pearl Jam.
Dude.
This movie's fucking awesome.
Kenny Power said he used to have the Spoon Man from Soundgarden at his parties.
My understanding is he started as the drummer from Soundgarden, but like joined Pearl Jam and has been like their drummer. Period.
That's rad as fuck,
so,
man.
So like I think he's still playing. That is rad. That's good for him, dude. Like what a
Yeah,
pedigree, you know.
That's a cult classic, and then massive mainstream success. That's a tough like twofer split.
Bob, you should challenge him to a drum off.
I think he's just already won. I think he's fine. I think he's doing.
How many themes for killer vegetables have you made, Bob? None. Yeah. That's how many. I'm
a loser. Okay. Call me for the carrots.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
I kind of mentioned this. Various relatives of the filmmakers were financial backers for the movie, and several family members of the filmmakers appear throughout the course of the movie. So, like, they had a lot of like friends and family just in this. Maybe you noticed that they weren't all actors. You probably
Shocker.
What? Dude, the old couple sitting there, and they're like, "Oh, they got Jimmy." Ah, poor Jimmy. I love that shit.
Didn't they round them all back up too when they were like in the San Diego University football field at the end of the movie when they were all like charging towards the tomatoes?
Probably. I mean, yeah, they had to have. They had to have.
They had the fucking San Diego chicken and shit there. It's just madness. Like the San Diego chicken in this movie is what that random set of nude breasts are in the panic scene in Airplane. Like they're just like, what the fuck is this? What? Very bizarre fucking movie. Yeah, I can't stop thinking about other things from it that are bizarre.
The budget for this movie was just under $100,000. At the box office, it earned about $567,000. Not bad.
Enough for a sequel.
Yeah, three of them. Three more. The theme song for this movie is written by the director himself, which that's cool. It's an earworm, so good for him.
If you look at the credits, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there was some Monty Python and the Holy Grail style fuckery going on in the intro credits, where like it would list. I can't remember the director's name or whatever, but like it was like, let's just say it was D.B. Cooper was his name, so it would be like Desmond B. Cooper for sound direction. Gaffer is like D. Boise Cooper, and it's just like different ways of saying the same thing, basically, because it's all the same guy.
Yeah, 20 jobs,
little shit like that. Yeah,
I'm sure. The next couple, Mikey, these might apply to you. I don't want to put you on blast.
Try me.
So I got two more. The conference room scene in this movie, the tiny little conference room, is apparently parodied in the opening title sequence for the 2022 anime series Chainsaw Man.
No way. Well,
what?
Well, Chainsaw Man, like, if you watch, like, I don't know about the opening. I know the credits of Chainsaw Man, they spoof, like, a lot of movies.
And that's...
like, through the actual, like,
this is
credits.
one of them. I've never seen it, so I don't know.
You should check out Chainsaw Man. It's pretty cool.
I've heard nothing but positivity about Chainsaw Man.
Same.
I thought the show was just nonsense, like, when I was, like, going into it. But, man, that first episode almost made me cry.
Damn. All right.
Yeah.
That is what I've heard. Is like that it has a surprising amount of heart to it for a show based on like the dumbest thing imaginable.
It's mainly that first episode because what happens, and then the rest of it is like the guy like staring at tits and stuff like that. It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, but it's pretty funny. But it's a pretty cool show.
Well, apparently this is parodied in that.
Yeah.
The opening, anyways. The last bit I have here is different video games were developed based off this. First one in 1986. It was released for 8-bit computers. And then later on in 1991, a video game was released for the NES and Game Boy consoles.
I think I still have the Game Boy game at my parents' house.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I think I still have it.
Yeah, I never played these. I was not aware of them, but I did watch a few like little like clips of people playing it or whatever. It looks like your standard Saturday morning cartoon tie-in movie.
Oh, I remember watching the cartoons on Saturday morning. And actually, I think I'm going to my parents' house like this coming week. When I go there, I'm gonna see if I can find that damn game.
Hell yeah, that's probably worth money if I had to guess. Everything is now that we enjoyed as children. Seems
42% of nerds want to buy this game, as we read on Rotten Tomatoes.
Apparently, I didn't know that shit existed, but resell it and then
I gotta have it.
Retire. That's all the trivia I got. Let's jump into our Cooter of the Week.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the week.
I have to ask myself a question. What's a Cooter and why do we hunt them? Oh,
everybody. Oh, yeah.
Cooter is a character type, and there's 5 points. We want to find the Cooter that hits the most points. If you're going to be a Cooter, you got to get 3 out of 5 points. The points are...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You forgot that it's a straight chilling exclusive.
Oh,
exclusivo, as Justin might say.
Straight chilling excluse. Remember that. I forgot.
So cool.
Yes.
We're talking about smug arrogance. We're talking about sexual deviance. We're talking about manipulation. We're talking about attire, and we're talking about overall patheticness. Boys, anybody you want to bring to Cooter Court this evening?
I honestly can't point out the Cooter.
Oh, I can.
Randy. Who
Yeah,
you got?
point him out.
Who you got?
I got at least one in mind. Very few characters in this movie have enough to go on, and they're also like, they just serve whatever joke that they're telling at the time that it kind of doesn't matter for the most part.
Yeah.
But one character who's a little bit consistent is the editor at whatever paper that woman works at, and his like insane sexism. Like, I mean, that's sexual deviancy right there to start. Manipulation. I mean, the arrogance. Looking at attire is fine, I guess. Patheticness, very like he's got this. He thrusts this story onto a reporter that's like a fashion reporter or whatever, and just like shits the bed about it and just keeps like complaining about it. I think there's a little bit of an argument to be had for him being in Cooter Court. What do you guys think?
I think that's pretty fair. Actually.
Yeah. I honestly can't think of anybody else.
Yeah, there's not many like characters really like fully fleshed out in this movie.
Yeah.
But I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. I think you might be able to make an argument for the mind maker advertising man, for manipulation at least. Like that's his whole gig. That's the
Arrogance.
entire point of his character.
I would give him arrogance too.
Yeah, and arrogance, like using Jesus Christ as the spokesperson for your, I don't know, an arm watch brand or whatever. Patheticness, sure. Looking attire, yeah. Even for his era, for what's going on here, I think he's like meant to be dressed a little scummy, like I don't know, like just like used car salesman kind of thing, but like a little up his own ass. Sexual deviancy, I don't know if there's any of that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that the ad agency guy definitely like clinches that for sure.
Mm-hmm. But arrogance and manipulation for sure, and attire, arguably. Patheticness, I think so. So I think these two share the cell. What do you guys think?
I would say the ad agency guy like edges it out because he just straight up tells his employee to like bang people. Like tells her to do it, like, to get.
Oh, you mean the editor, not the. You said the ad guy.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, the newspaper, the editor in chief or whatever. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that guy. He like tells his employee to like use her sexuality to like get secrets from these people.
Yeah.
So like,
I think
that edges it out a little bit.
I think that I don't know. Like to me. I think that what he is, I think our advertising guy is as strong in manipulation as our editor is in sexual deviancy. So for me, I think we block them both up. Your priorities, your priority may vary. Mikey, you don't care.
I'm just gonna agree. Yeah, because those, I think those scenes are just like, I think I was already pretty damn checked out when those scenes were going on.
Yeah, these white men suck.
Yeah,
got it. Lock them up.
I may have took my snooze during those scenes. Who knows,
dude? Good for you. Good for you.
That I can nap.
Good during this movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I paused it, and then when I woke up, I just pressed play again,
and then went right back to sleep.
I didn't do that. I was rested.
You look rested.
You look rested.
This is.
I think we
This
got
is
him.
a very professional podcast where we do professional things.
We got him locked down.
Got him locked.
Boom.
All right.
Dose.
What's next, Bob?
Dose Cooters of the week. We can finally relax and talk about what we've been watching this week.
Kick her feet up.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Michael.
Yes, sir.
What you been watching this week?
Man, I'm trying to think. I've been like on catch up mode for a while. Since I missed half of October.
Yeah, first week in November, so just getting out of proper spooky season. Any new movies? Any sporting events?
Well, I have been watching basketball because basketball's back on.
Sure.
I did finish The Fall of House of Usher finally, and that was oh man, that was great.
Yeah.
That was a really good show. I think Flanagan's starting to win me over, and now I kind of want to try to watch The Blind Manors and all that kind of stuff.
I love that shit. Fucking love it.
You love that?
It's great.
Fucking love it.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that show. I'm trying to think what else I remember, like we said, it's the first week in November. Last week, because I said I missed half of October. I was just in like rush mode to just try to watch some Halloween stuff. And I watched both Rob Zombie Halloweens. I watched
the good ones.
Yeah, I watched H2O. I pretty much watched the worst Halloween movies possible.
You watched the worst
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Damn.
Man, it happens. But other from that, man, I just been kind of brain dead. So besides that stuff, I just been rewatching, like Ted Lasso or man, I don't even know, man.
You watched Blood Rage yet?
No, not yet. I'm about ready. I was actually also considering, bringing in Halloween into November this year since I kind of missed it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You were out of country for a minute.
I was on holiday.
When do you typically kick off the proper Christmas movies? Do you wait till after Thanksgiving?
Yeah. Because I do enjoy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And, I love the Charlie Brown movies. I love the Charlie Brown specials. And honestly, out of the three, my favorite is the Thanksgiving one.
I'm going to watch that for the first time this year.
Peppermint Patty's a bitch, man.
Have you seen it, Randy?
Yeah, that's one that I definitely saw. I don't I have a hard time remembering it, but I did like it a lot. And I remember specifically liking the food they put together for their feast. For some reason, that shit made me
popcorn necklaces.
It's just kind of silly fun. Yeah,
Pop-Tarts.
Yeah,
and
popcorn and fucking jelly beans or something.
Yeah, and Peppermint Patty. She's on the phone with him. Say, "Hey, Chuck, when are you gonna make the dinner, Chuck? Let's hey, Chuck." Yeah, so she kept on saying that after every sentence, kind of like Dave. They say, "Hey, Chuck." Yeah, hey, Chuck. What's for dinner, Chuck? What time should we all be there, Chuck?
I fucking love pop.
Yeah. Straight up bitch, man. Made that man make all that food, and when she got there, she shit on the whole dinner. Just cussed him out.
Charlie Brown is a parable about future school shooters. I stand by this.
What the fuck?
They could have prevented it all, but they bullied instead.
Just eat the free lunch or dinner or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Damn,
you told this kid to go get a tree. He brought back a tree. Shut the fuck up.
Don't give this man rocks for Halloween candy, and then everybody's fine. just don't do it.
I got a rock.
Fucking A. Well,
he's like the original Meg from Family Guy. He's treated so shittily constantly.
Even his dog.
It's only a matter of time.
I'm still excited to watch it for the first time. I've never seen it.
Let's watch it together.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I kind of wish we watched Attack of the Killer Tomatoes together, because we probably would.
It would only improve.
Exactly what Justin said. If we watched it in a group, it probably would have been a lot more fun.
It was so funny to me that I felt that way about Fear, and he feels that way about this. It's just sometimes you need to have the co-audience with you. Otherwise, it's just
peanuts in your face.
I watched this at first thing in the morning with a cup of coffee, and I was like, oh my god. It didn't work for me.
Your day is just downhill from here now.
It just didn't work. Anyway, Randeezy, what you been watching?
Let's see. I also finished House of Usher, and yeah, I was very much taken with that. I still have not decided if I like it a little bit better than Hill House, and would put it at my second spot in Flanagan TV verse.
Wow.
But I haven't decided. On the one hand, I really like technically and story wise, emotional impact wise, fucking Hill House kills it for me. But in terms of like cohesive storytelling and just like bombast and like incredible tie-ins to these other things, these Poe stories, like I don't know, man. It edges out Hill House in some of those regards, some of the writing category, just not the emotional side of the writing, just the cleverness side. Midnight Mass is still number one though. Yeah, loved that. Also watched Halloween 2018, the David Gordon Green opus. And yeah, I still like that movie. I think it's a lot of fun.
It's a good movie.
It's not bad.
It's one of, if not the only Halloween sequel that I think honestly does Michael Myers right for the most part and doesn't try and overload his character for something he's not built to be by adding a bunch of bullshit lore that doesn't matter. They just like build around the edges. I've talked about this at length. We all have. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm still a fan of that movie as a Halloween sequel. Rewatched Ghost Watch, my annual watch of Ghost Watch. Finally got to watch some of the bonus features on this incredible release that, what is it, Channel 101? Not Channel 101, that's something else. Whatever, like this, there's a British company that put this out. It's an American release though, and it's very, very good. It's a fucking badass release. And it's one of the few pieces of physical media that I would spring for because I do not ever want to go another day without seeing Ghost Watch.
Hell yeah.
Or
Hell yeah,
year,
brother.
rather,
Keep
without
on
seeing Ghost Watch. Another day. I watch it every day. That movie rules. I've watched When Evil Lurks. It's When Evil Lurks, right? Not
What did,
not
yeah,
where.
yeah. What did you think about that? How'd you like it?
I liked it pretty good. It was not what I expected. I did expect from some of the comments that it was going to some dark areas in some ways, but it didn't go as dark as that statement led me to believe. So I was like ready for what it gave me. And ultimately, yeah, bleak as fuck, pretty well acted. I thought that some of the effects were fucking great. I don't know. I'm still mulling it over, but I'm generally positive towards it.
I need to check that out. I'm hearing nothing but good things.
It's worth watching. Yeah.
I think that I don't know, is like, what is the temperature towards that movie generally? Do you know?
It seems overall positive.
Okay.
Maybe not like knocking it out of the park, but like overall worth your time. I would say it's worth your time. It's I don't know that it's like one of my favorite movies of the year. But it is so we reviewed I'm blanking on the filmmaker's name. He directed Terrified. Yeah, exactly.
Terrified, yeah.
Either.
So yeah, we did a review of that a couple years ago, and the movie's really good. This one is.
I think that's a superior film.
I kind of agree with you. I think this one is still very good, but it sets up something that it doesn't fully deliver on. I don't think, but it's still good.
See, to me, like I thought it was like it delivered fine. To me, it was just like the stakes weren't always super clear, and I understand that was part of like keeping the mystery going and trying not to do over exposition until they finally do kind of give up a lot. But they made it believable why they would get that information when they do. Anyway. But that movie kept me guessing. It was like really effective in the effects department. The story was bleak, but understandable. I just, it kind of puts forth a world where things are not exactly one-to-one with our current world. And you just kind of have to piece that together as you go for a long time. And it makes it a little bit hard to follow at first. Yeah, that's probably the only complaint I have off the top of my head. Anyway, we don't need to review that entirely right now. Last but not least, well, maybe least, I don't know. Actually, yes, least. Insidious, The Red Door.
Oh my God.
That's finally hit Netflix. I checked it out, and, it is not good, but it wasn't god awful. It was just like, man, the dialogue in that movie is clearly it's Insidious goes to college. That's what it is. It's Ghoulies go to college, but put the Insidious monster in there instead, and have fucking a bunch of fan service paid to Lin Shaye and Leigh Whannell and the other guy. And I don't know. To me, like the dialogue between the college students killed me, like, and not in a positive way. It was so cringy to hear. It sounded like somebody like over 60 years old wrote the dialogue for those kids, and it really didn't seem real. It seemed very forced. And that's the biggest and most cringy complaint I have about it.
Have you seen this one, Mikey?
I watched it on the plane, like when I left, and
an ideal for viewing for anything.
Sure,
of course.
It was an 8-hour flight, so I was excited about watching it because I haven't seen it yet, and it was I started watching it before we even lifted off, and it was a pile of shit to me. And then and the main guy, I always forget his damn name.
Patrick Wilson.
Every time
directed it too,
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And ever since the third Conjuring movie, every time I look at him, especially in this movie, because like now he's divorced and he's single dad now, and the kids kind of hate him. he always looks like he lives in the Wendy's drive-thru. Like he always he gets out of a car and he always has like a trash bag of Wendy's or something. He just looks like that to me.
That's a very specific thing. However, I will say this. I had a conversation with Beck while talking about this movie, and I said something. I was like, look, this is not fair, and it's totally mean, and I there's nothing I can do about it, but I just get the impression, looking at Patrick Wilson, that he's a little bit of an asshole, and I have no idea where that comes from. It's just something about his appearance that gives me that feeling, and that's totally fucked up and not fair at all, but I can't deny that I get this impression from him that just like it skeeves me a little.
I mean, I don't fucking know the guy clearly, but
yeah, he's probably a swell guy. I don't know.
I will say, like, interviews I've heard with people that have worked with him are like they fucking love him. They love the shit.
He's probably a great guy, and that's what like makes it even worse.
He as far as I know, he is. But like in this movie, so I also watched this week. He's a motherfucker in this movie, and he plays it really well, to be honest.
Yeah,
and the movie's not good. I don't like it necessarily. But it's also like far from the worst, like fifth installment in a franchise that I've ever seen. It's just they just do kind of the same thing worse. It's
better than the last one. Like to me,
was it the lost key, the locked door, whatever that is?
Yeah, that one was dog shit to me.
I can unfortunately barely remember that, so that probably doesn't speak very highly for the movie. I'm sure I can.
It's not worth remembering.
It's just not very good. Like I remember the first two very, very, very clearly.
Wasn't part two kind of like
this movie
did Shining ripoff? I'm sorry.
No, Shining.
No, it's like the Shining rip. Like he was just going crazy and he was like trying to kill them in the house, like because the dad was
kind of but he was possessed.
Yeah, right.
But,
yeah.
Because I haven't seen that one. I haven't
they work real hard to make that plot make sense, but
yeah.
It's a lot, but and also like I don't know, like they do a couple things in there like horror, like scares, kind of like eerie moments that remind me of like Hill House and shit. Like they have like shadows in the background, they have like blurry images that never quite resolve, like, and they don't use nearly as many jump scares or anything like that. They allow things to like sit. I think that shows growth, honestly, for the series that ultimately was like even the fucking title card was a jump scare for years. So. I don't know. I don't need this to be. I definitely don't need another one. I didn't need this one.
You're getting
but
it.
For what it is, it's like I don't know. I think it does show a little bit of growth in terms of how it approaches the horror element. It just also triples down on like the over bloated story and nuts and bolts of how things work.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay.
Sorry, Bob. Why don't you tell me yours?
Okay.
Just
a lot of overlap here. When Evil Lurks, pretty good. Check it out. It's on Shudder. I did also watch Five Nights at Freddy's on Hulu, and it's not for me, I guess. I don't know. I found it to be like super, super lukewarm and like not the movie that I anticipated. There's like so little robot murder happening in this movie, and like I feel like that is just the premise. I've never played the game, so maybe I just am wrong. That's possible.
No, that's more like the game is. I have played the game, and it like I played it very briefly because I did not like how you play. It's just not fun to me.
Yeah,
but like being in a control room with some open doors by you that you can only close because of the game mechanics for a certain amount of time at a time, or you'll expend your energy. And you're watching security cameras as things kind of like pop closer into frame and get closer and closer to you, and you have to be strategic about how you like close your doors basically in order to survive the Five Nights at Freddy's. That's the whole thing. And they've built this franchise into this like insane behemoth with specifically like kids under 11. Like, so the fact that it wasn't made for you is absolutely the truth. And I think that this movie is that game is a game that like 9-year-olds play to feel like 14-year-olds. And so the movie probably reflects that.
Well,
I want to play One Night at Bob's.
it's just not a movie. I feel like it's also, I don't know. It's PG-13. I guess it's made for 13 to 16-year-olds.
I think it's made for younger than that.
Maybe.
My conspiracy theory is that they snuck in a couple extra curse words just to make sure it passed that threshold.
Maybe. And maybe that's why it's so fucking terrible to me. I don't know. It's not good. I don't like it. I think it's a bad movie. It made a shitload of money.
Yeah. It's like the Minecraft. If they made the Minecraft movie, it's basically that. It's for that same audience.
I don't love Willy's Wonderland, but I think that's like substantially better than this movie.
Jesus Christ. I really didn't like that movie, so I'm glad I didn't take the jump.
I don't like this movie. Anyways, if you like it, good for you. They're going to make, I'm sure, like a dozen more because it really made a lot of money. I watched The Nun 2. It's on HBO Max now. Terrible. Awful movie.
Wait, what was it?
The Nun 2.
Oh, The Nun 2. Yeah, it's dog shit.
You watched it?
I watched. Well, I won't say I really watched it because I was doing the cabinet drawings while it was on. So, but yeah, it's dog shit.
Yeah, it's. I watched it yesterday morning again with a cup of coffee, fully wide awake, and it's like 2 hours. 2 hours long, and it sucks dick.
I didn't even like the first one.
I didn't like the first one either.
Nobody not nobody, but I certainly didn't. No one else did.
It at least had like a couple moments in it where I was like, that's a cool earned scare. And like, I watched this movie, and the first hour is like very half-assed, cheesy jump scares that don't really work. And then there's like a bunch of lore that doesn't really matter and some detective kind of stuff. And then you get
a man named Frenchie.
a Frenchie man. You get to the end and it's just like the nun is a supervillain and the nun can do fucking anything. Anything it wants to do, it just fucking does. And it's just...
Well, of course, here come the demons.
It's nonsense. It's fucking hot garbage. And I can just... draw the nun's face from memory. Like, there's no spooky elements to be found in this whatsoever. It is not good. I don't like it. That's it. That's
fair.
That's the Nun 2.
I don't need to watch it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and wrap that up. That's what I've been watching this week.
I will take your word for that.
Don't waste your time. We don't have any voicemails, but if you are listening and would like to call in and leave a voicemail for next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-6321.
There you go.
Prompts. You guys.
I have one. Can somebody call in and tell us about a movie that you love that so many people give you shit about loving? Because I feel like I'm going to probably catch a little shit for liking this movie so much and giving it such a high score. Deservedly. It was a little bit of a protest score. I'll admit that. But I don't know. I think that there's some value in sort of like having a movie that feels like if you love like Step Up to the Streets, call in. Let us know why you love that movie. I want to understand. I think that you guys got something out of me describing why I like a movie that I like, even if it's not a movie you guys like at all. I want that experience. Call in and tell me why you like the movie that nobody likes.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. I get shit on all the time because I watch 40-Year-Old Virgin once a week.
Once a week? Wow.
I do.
I love that movie.
When I'm working, I love the fuck out of that movie.
People like that movie.
I laugh.
You watch that movie more than they listen to Michael McDonald.
How will Yamo burn this place to the ground? I love that damn movie, and I also love. You know what's a good one? Batman Forever. I love Batman Forever, and people hate that one.
Dude, yeah, I have a fondness for that movie, and in particular the Seal song, but certainly for some of the rest of the movie too. Oh my god, that song's incredible.
It is.
It's genuinely a good song, and it's so nostalgic for me, and it's also very ridiculous at the same time.
I like all those movies, but like right place, right time kind of thing. I don't know that they're like actually fantastic, but I just like them.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
I love them. Especially 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah, that's a good movie. I'm sure I know I like a lot of shit movies. Like,
and that's okay. We're allowed to like what we like. Friday
the 13th, 9. I like that movie. It's bad.
Oh, Jason Goes to Hell?
Which one? Jason Goes to... Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a bad one.
It is. Yeah. And I like it.
And that's okay.
Yeah, that's a good prompt. I like that. Hit us up, call in, leave a voicemail, 904-638-3231 for next week's show. Michael, thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure to fill in. Hopefully next episode I'm on, let's do like a Pee-wee's Playhouse. Or a Big Adventure, I mean. Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
That would be...
Hey, buddy, if you can convince somebody to use their poll pick, their Patreon pick, you get on that campaign wagon, my guy.
That's a good one.
So, to be totally honest, like I haven't seen that in so fucking long. I don't know how spooky it is. Would it register for our show? Do you think?
I mean, you get Large Marge, and in Pee-wee's house, like in the silhouettes of all his windows, there's like skeletons and pumpkins everywhere.
Okay, I didn't
look.
know that.
I think it's definitely like a comedy, like a kids comedy or whatever. But it's one of those kids movies, like that. It has moments that leave scars on children, like Large Marge specifically, and like the claymation scenes that the dream sequences that are all claymation. Like those are all things that like left an indelible horror impression on a bunch of kids. So to me, it's more horror than some of the other movies we've reviewed.
It's also Tim Burton.
Tim Burton, yeah. Here's what I'll propose. Okay, so Randy, you and Justin are coming to town very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know where this is going. I like this.
A specific reason. I'm getting married. Mikey, you live here. I live here, of course. So, Large Marge is buried in a cemetery in Jacksonville, Florida. Let's go to her grave and record a show about this movie next to her grave. Let's do it.
Do we need generators and shit?
Maybe.
Nah.
I'm not 100% sure that passes the dignity test.
I thought you said you were going to say like let's do like a commentary with all four of us.
Oh, we could do that too.
Yeah,
I thought that too.
I want to go sit in the cemetery and record a podcast.
We should do? We should dig up her bones and have her on the show.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang her panties in my room.
Damn, where you getting panties from?
Well, you was talking about digging her up. No, I ain't digging nothing up.
Yes, that's what a boy likes.
Anyway, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we won't. Call in.
Maybe we'll trim this from the episode. Who knows?
Leave a voicemail. Nothing gets cut.
To say.
Nothing gets cut.
Cut that.
Leave a voicemail. Be featured next show. So next week we are talking about a movie that was chosen by Matt S., a Patreon pick. This one is The People Under the Stairs from 1991, a Wes Craven joint.
Fuck yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen this. This is an OG one we talked about like literally 10 years ago. And I haven't seen it since, I don't think.
I think this was like one of the first like 10 or 15 episodes that we did. If I remember right, and I could be wrong about this, but I want to say that resident serial killer Drew picked this movie.
He might have.
We'll have to go back to the archives to find out.
Sure, yeah.
But
I'm excited to revisit it, though.
It's great, and I'm excited.
It is good. We talked about it on our podcast.
Yeah.
It just came out on 4K.
It did, yeah. And I picked it up on sale from Scream Factory for like $20.
Yeah.
Do it. Do it. Slam your eyeballs into the people under the stairs. Get ready for next week's show. Until then, hit us up on all the social media outlets. Search Straight Chilling Podcast. You will find us. If you want to join us on our Slack channel conversations, just let us know on one of those social media outlets, and I'll send you a link so you can join in on the fun. Until next time, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
It's a funky little tomato.